everybody? Welcome to week 14 of the Tier Maker. I just got to say, Douglas, one thing. I got my phone right now. I need to call 911 because we have a bad case of the ambulance in Kansas City. Do you know where I can get a good dial?
Oh man, who would have thought we had Kansas City so high earlier? So can't
Yeah.
wait to get to that one.
Oh, I can't wait for this one. So I guess the first thing we got to talk about for week 14, what did you think about this week in football?
Um, it was a fun week. Like there were some big games I thought, and they were semi unexpected results. So excited to get to the Cowboys Eagles. Excited to get to the Chiefs Bills. Some big time rivalry games. Like this was a really big week. I thought.
Yeah, and honestly, even the clunkers on Monday Night Football were actually really good. I thought they were going to be
Yeah.
clunkers, and even those, granted, both teams choked, and we'll get to there, but even that game was actually interesting. Both of those games were actually interesting and fun.
Yeah. Well, so before we get into too many games, why don't we go to the next slides and you can explain what the ranking systems are. And then that way we have a good idea of what we're looking at here.
Alrighty. Like I said, we got, for our 8 fans right here, we have a
Mhm.
ranking system between 1 through 10. So we'll start out with the 1 seed. 1, your season's done and it's over. And as of right now, I will say there's no more 1s right now. So the Panthers would totally be a 1 right now, where I didn't even think they were going to be good this season. A 2 would be a bad team, but they have a 5% chance of making the playoffs. I would always say the clunkers of the 15 to 14 ranking on the AFC or the NFC right now, I would probably put those in that one, in that spot. They're definitely not going to get that number 1 overall pick, but
Mhm.
usually we would put them right there. 3s are still above it, above the 2, but they only can beat bad teams mostly. Or they're like fluky one randomly can beat a good team, but they're still
Mhm.
bad. 4s, I usually put the mid teams. They're very mid. This is the most middest of all mids. I don't think this team's going to make the playoffs, but I don't think this team is going to be. They're not good enough to get a good draft pick. But there's
So
all. Oh,
that's okay. Sorry, I'm just interested. So you think mid team is worse than football hell?
yes, because football hell is like you're one step closer to like making the playoffs right there.
Mm.
Like football hell, in my opinion, is like a team that is not good enough to make the playoffs, or is in the
Mhm.
worst division,
Mhm.
AFC, NFC South, or they're not good enough. They're going to get a good draft pick. So it's kind of like in that, like you're in the football hell where it's just like, you're not going to be good enough. You're not going to be bad enough. It's just like it's kind of that mid right over there. But then we got the better teams. We got the making the playoffs. The 6th team is always a team, usually a wild card, or a team that I feel like will make the playoffs and win the division. But are they going to win a playoff game? I'm
Yeah.
talking to you, Green Bay Packers, Vikings.
Yeah.
7, I would say, is a team that I feel like is going to win a playoff game. I think they're going to be good enough to win a playoff game. I'm talking to you, Philadelphia. Definitely is a good 7 team. 8 is definitely a team that will make the AFC or NFC championship. And that's my 2, like the top 2, I feel like that's a good 8 team. 9, in my opinion, is basically a team that I feel like is going to make the Super Bowl. And spoiler alert, there's probably one team I'm going to probably give a 9 this week. And 10, which is the illustrious 10, I don't think in our lifetimes we're ever going to put a 10 until they win a Super Bowl game, winning the Super Bowl. I think this team is guaranteed to win the Super Bowl. And I will be honest with you, probably in the 50 years, maybe the '08 Patriots.
And ironically, they didn't even win it.
They ironically probably didn't win that one. That probably is the only one. Or the 72 Dolphins, but to be fair, the 72 Dolphins, I don't think anyone thought that the 72 Dolphins were going to win. Actually, everyone thought Washington was going to win that game, actually. Fun fact.
That was fun.
Yes. So, we got to talk about two teams that didn't play this week. We got two teams that didn't play it. So, like I said, we got the Cardinals. Going to keep them at a 2. I don't think they were, nothing really changed since they had the bye week. And also the Commanders. Like I said, preseason I gave them the 4. Last week I gave them the 2. With my new ranking, I gave them the 2 because, like I said, I don't think anything really changed. They had a bye week. So
I like this setup too because we can see the preseason rankings, so we can kind of judge how good your preseason predictions are.
yes.
So I plan on judging a little bit, maybe providing some praise. There's a few that you've been right on about, a few that you've been very far off on. So
yeah, and a few that I'm like, well, I was totally wrong on that one.
The Stu Stradamus is a little bit off on some of these teams.
Hey, sometimes I'm always off, but I will always, when I'm right, I'm right. So we got to talk about the first out team right now. I'm going to put them as out.
So here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Do we still put them as out after they just beat the Steelers?
I will always say, you know what the sucky part was? I probably would not have given them a 2. I would have given them a 2 if they weren't eliminated from the playoffs. But since they're mathematically eliminated the playoffs, we don't have to discuss the Patriots. So I guess as of right now, we have to do. I'm sorry, we got to make it seriously. We got to make a eulogy right now of the New England Patriots. I'm sorry for all you babies, 2-year-olds that will never see Tom Brady or the New England Patriots win a Super Bowl. I feel so sorry. I'm so bad.
The world's smallest violin right here.
World's smallest violin. So, Douglas, what is your thoughts on the Patriots season? Like I said, I gave them a 5 last season because I thought they were very mid last year. And I thought
I think you got to give them a 5 out of just respect for Bill Belichick, like kind of assuming that they're going to progress. But I mean, this was an all-time low. Like their offense, they're not even fun to watch. Like how they put up 21 points against that Steelers defense or whatever. I don't know. Like I truly don't understand. I think Zappy was playing. Didn't really tune in too much of this game because I was like, but then the Patriots somehow won it. So confusing season for them. Overall, giant disappointment.
Yeah, it's a very giant disappointment. I'm actually kind of surprised. I didn't think this team was going to make the playoffs, to be fair, but I didn't think they were going to be an absolute tire fire this year. And also benching Zach Wilson. I mean, not Zach Wilson. God, that's a different team. That's a different tire fire that I didn't expect.
And they balled out this week, but yeah, so benching Mac Jones.
Yeah, and I just kind of felt like it's kind of a sucky. And I know people like it sucks for Belichick because, like I said, I think the game has gone past him. And we'll see. I mean, that is a good question. Do you think Belichick is going to retire after this year, or is he going to just try to go and maybe try to get like Cam Ward for next year?
So that's a good question. I really have no idea to make a guess either way. Because, like, I don't know. I haven't read anything up on that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised either way because, I mean, he's getting up there in age. Like, there's not a lot to come back for as far as the roster goes. Maybe he'll make a Tom Brady jump to try to win another Super Bowl. Who knows? But I don't know. It'd be hard to come back to this roster, I think.
Yeah, and I feel like if it's going to be for next year, I mean, unless they maybe get an elite quarterback and maybe they change a little bit, I think they're kind of gonna be like very mid.
You know what I just watched that this kind of reminds me of? That Barry Sanders special where he retired going into like the season because he didn't really want to play for a team that wasn't going to compete. And like I could see Belichick doing something similar where it's like, we're not really going to compete next year. You know, do I want to do this forever? So I don't know.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes for the Patriots. But like I said, I think it's a very disappointing, and it sucks because it wasn't like it wasn't like the Bills where it's like, okay, they're mid and then they lose. It literally went from like crash and burn at this point. Like I think maybe the highest I ever gave the Patriots was like a 3 at one point because I think they built the Bills, and that was it. And it does suck because it's going to be funny for when we get to the post. Like I said, Douglas, we're going to do a postmortem after the Super Bowl on all 32 teams. Will we give the 2 or the 1? That's going to be the fun part when we talk about the Patriots.
Yeah, it will be. All right. Enough said on them. Bad season. Better luck next year.
Better luck next year, Patriots. Sorry. Now we got to talk about these sad Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh,
How
man.
I gotta say, so the urinary tree guy, the lol cow guy, he literally talked about, and he was so frustrated after this game. I mean, he live streamed this game. He was so angry at the pitch. He was like legit pissed about the Steelers, and he complained. And this is like and I do agree with his opinion. I feel like the Steelers want to stay in mediocrity. They don't really want to change anything. And they don't, and the culture's terrible. This is the same problem with the Steelers, like 2017, 2018, when they were just like thought that this was good enough and they were a tire fire right now. Like, and I feel like, and I hate to say it, I think it's time for Tomlin to go. I love Tomlin as a head coach, but I feel like this is Chuck Noll in the late 80s with the Steelers, where it's like he's past his prime.
I feel like like 3 weeks ago you were just like talking about Tomlin was the greatest coach and how he could get this giant collection of misfits together and how he was the best and he was the only thing keeping them relevant. I remember all of this, and then like 3 weeks later you turn.
Yes, because they literally lost to the fucking Patriots. They lost to the Patriots,
Man,
a team they should have not
man did not
lost.
lose that much coaching ability in 3 weeks. That is like he hit a fucking iceberg and sank.
Like literally, he hit the iceberg. This is the Titanic. He literally hit the iceberg, and this team sank. How do you lose to the Patriots, a team that got eliminated? This team is like,
Man.
oh my goodness,
Yeah.
and it's so frustrating because the crazy part is the Patriots, the Steelers, are still in the playoff run. They're the sixth
Yeah.
seed.
Well, I mean, that's the shitty thing. Like, sorry, I keep cussing, but like,
That's
how you can't really drop them technically lower than a 6 based on the rankings, because like they own tiebreakers. But like, this has to be the worst feeling 6. Like,
This is the worst six. I'm trying to think of all the 6 teams. If I'm looking at the wild card teams, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Indy, are they worse than Tampa? Are they the worst team that's going to make the playoffs? That's in the
if
playoffs.
Tampa Bay played Pittsburgh right now, I don't know who would win. Like, that would be a really bad game to watch.
And literally, Mr. Trubisky got benched in this game. That's
Mhm.
sad.
When's Kenny Pickett coming back?
I'm not sure when Kenny Pickett's going to come back. That's a good question. When is Kenny Pickett? And I honestly feel like, and people could probably say it's like, oh, it's Kenny Pickett and all that stuff. I don't think. I think this is bad. This is a bad sign right there. And the
Well, I mean,
defense
and this is
good.
why I feel every week I've been a little hesitant on the Steelers because I just kind of felt like this was inevitable. Just like watching them play, it's kind of like it feels like that team from like I forgot what year, but they started like 8-0, and then like you just knew that that wasn't the right record. Like, and then they lost like a ton. Do you remember that?
Oh, I forgot what team it was. I know the
That
11-0
no, I mean that
Steelers.
was the Steelers like 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, when they went 11-0, and oh my god, that was the funniest thing with the urinating tree when he was streaming the Pittsburgh Steelers Browns game, and literally everyone was just dogging him, and we're like putting in the chat. They're like they gave him so much money. Also, I mean, good for him, but they're all like in the chat trolling him. It's like 11-0, 11-0, 11-0.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh,
like I feel so bad. I mean. I think for the Steelers for right now, and we're gonna get off right here. I'm gonna give them the 6, but honestly, for my opinion, I feel like if they got off on the playoffs right now, I would give them the 4. Like to be honest with you,
yeah. No, I mean they feel like they're just I don't know, like they haven't felt like a good team to me this year.
Mhm.
And like seeing them actually lose to the Patriots though, I'm like, okay, like we'll see them and maybe Pickett comes back and they're better, but
But also
I'm
pick. I looked up CBS Sports right now. Pickett it might be out for the Colts game, and that I mean, if you lay an egg like that against the Patriots, how are you going to beat the Colts?
dude, that's a big game. That's a big game for playoff seeding.
And I honestly, and I agree. And I was looking at like the stats for like the Patriots odds. They're at a 25%. Honestly, I agree. I think they're at 25%. They are
Yeah.
not. They're on shaky ground. I would rather have. I would rather have the Bills. I would rather have the Bengals that are even out of the playoffs. A better shot than the
Hmm.
Patriots. This team is not making the playoffs.
Yep. Cool.
I'm gonna
6.
mark my words. Steelers are not making the playoffs right now, or if they do, they're going to get killed. They're
So
going
I
to lose.
guess my question to you then becomes in this ranking, do we drop them lower than a 6? Because this is just your thought of where they'll finish. Because if you're
That's a good
projecting where you
question.
think they'll finish, you could give them a 4. Because if you don't think that they'll make the playoffs, you could theoretically still give them a 4. It's more
I
about saying who you think will actually make the playoffs, in my opinion.
I think honestly, you're convincing me, Doug. I think we got to give them the 4. I'm
I love
changing
it.
it up. I'm throwing an audible. We're giving them a 4. This is the new. This
You
Steelers
know,
team is 4. I honestly, even though they're in a playoff race, now this is
you
gonna be
know,
good. When we get to the 8, we might these when we get to these teams that are in the bubble, we might try to
mhm.
change it to a 6.
Do you know what this feels like to me? It feels like the college football playoff committee, where it's controversial, and I can make an argument they made the right choice. Just because you're the 6th seed now, there's still 4 games to go. So good call.
Look at that. Good,
Big,
good,
I
good
want to say
call. Look
big.
at that. Congratulations, Steelers. You are still an awful team.
Yeah.
Speaking of a bad egg, we got to talk about the Lions versus the Bears. But I think we should start with the Bears since they got a decent win. Hear
Hmm.
me out. They got it. I hate to tell you this, Douglas, but they looked a lot better.
They've won what? They've won 2 in a row. Yeah.
And the crazy part is, and I'm looking at the stat, there's a lot of clunky teams that are like can weirdly like make the playoffs right now. There's like a I would say in the AFC and the NFC right now, there's like a 14 and 15 seed where it's like Washington and like the Cardinals. They're not going to make the playoffs. But like 12 to like 8 can like theoretically make the playoffs. Realistically, the Bears could theoretically make the playoffs. They could win the division.
They could win the division.
Maybe not the division, but I think they can make the wild card.
No, yeah, I could see them making the wild card.
But this is like the craziest part right here. Where would we put the Bears right now? They are like they did beat the Lions. I
I
don't
mean,
think
they've won. They've won 2 in a row, right?
they won a Vikings game by 2, and they beat the Lions like even decisively against the Bears.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say that for a minute. I mean, I think the Bears at least got to be a 3 because I mean, they just beat back-to-back possible playoff teams. You
Honestly,
definitely have to move up. Let me look at the standings. They're still way out of the playoff picture.
mhm.
But realistically, I mean, if they win another game or 2 in a row, they could be right in it. So I vote 3.
Yeah, honestly, I think they're definitely a 3 right now. I kind of agree. Which is weird because, like I said, the 3s are always a bad team. But I feel like I would also argue like a bad team that also randomly beats some good teams. I feel like that's a good 3, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. But like I said, it's kind of weird because they're not tanking right now. I
Yeah.
mean, I can understand why. I remember I was listening to Richard Sherman podcast. He doesn't understand why like the Bears didn't tank at this point and like give up. But I mean, I think I could kind of understand with the Bears because it's like, you know what, there might be that small playoff hope. Granted, it's like maybe 12% right now, if I had to guess. But you
That's
know
fair.
what?
Yeah, give them
But
their 3.
yeah, I think you know what? We're gonna have to give the Bears a 3. Look at that. We're gonna give these Bears a 3s. So look at that.
Cool.
They changed, which is funny because, like I said, preseason I did not have any hopes for the Bears, and now I feel like they hit my expectations.
Yeah.
But now
Uh,
we got to talk about these Lions. Oh my God, the Lions
so I
look.
mean, I'm not gonna lie, this one was predictable to me. I mean, I my buddy went to this game. He's a Bears fan, and he happened to be in Chicago. I was like, dude, the Bears are gonna win this game. There's little doubt to me about that. If you watched the game 2 weeks ago, where the Bears just like should have. They were up. It was the same thing, but the Bears choked that time. You knew they weren't going to do it again. The Lions have a hard time outdoors. They really haven't been playing well to begin with, but yet alone outdoors. That all that being said, I still think that they're a 7.
I still think. I mean, this is gonna be tough. I feel like it's like the frustrating thing about the Lions because I feel like the Lions should get lower, but the only problem is everyone that's like their competitors looks worse. That's the only. That's what I would say.
Well, like, I mean, that's why I'm saying they should be a 7 because I mean, if the 7 is win a playoff game, they would most likely beat Minnesota or Green Bay in a home game.
And both of those look really bad. Like they do not look like world beaters. Like they definitely laid an egg on that game.
I mean, I would pick the Lions in either of those games, so that therefore to me makes them a nice 7.
Yeah, but I do agree. I feel like if they're going to play, because if they still stay in the 3rd seed, I think they'll win the game. But I don't think they can beat. They're not beating the Cowboys or the Eagles.
We'll see in 3 weeks.
We'll see in 3 weeks, but I'm just saying. I think
Did we think that the Titans would beat the Dolphins? I didn't.
I did not think the Titans were going to beat the Dolphins.
Any given Sunday, my friend. Let's see it on the field.
Let's see it on the field. So, like I said, I think for the Lions.
I'm pretty sure you said guaranteed win for the Cowboys at the Cardinals multiple times.
I know.
Let's just remember that. We didn't think the Cardinals could beat the Cowboys, and somehow they did.
I know, but like I said,
what a world.
What a world we live in right now. But like I said, we're going to keep them as 7. I think they've been constantly 7 so far. Like I feel like they've been just like like they've been like
they're like a weird team. They're like better than most teams, but you know that they're not like a true threat to like the kind of big 3 in the NFC. So it's just kind of one of those. You're in a tough spot.
Oh my goodness! And another thing, it's actually interesting. I looked at the power rankings for Richard Sherman's top 5. He put the Lions still at the top 5, and he still put the Eagles in the top 5, but not the Cowboys. I was like, I feel like there's some bias, Richard Sherman. Like why are you not putting the Cowboys in the top 5? Like I was like, and the Eagles who literally we'll talk about when we get to the Eagles.
That's why I want to keep this by the slide. So we'll get to those games.
Yes. Now we got to talk about the Tank Division, Tank Bowl edition, aka from my favorite YouTuber, Urinating Tree, where he talks about that, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Falcons 29-25. It was the glorious of all tanks right here, where Baker Mayfield finally won a game, 6-7. And the craziest thing is now the Buccaneers are now in the division lead.
They own the tiebreakers.
All of this happened. What happened? This division is garbage. I've been saying this for weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I think you alluded to it earlier. I don't think there's a ton to discuss here. Like they're probably that 5 where it's like you put them as like the worst division. They're like probably going to make the playoffs just because they're in the NFC South. So like I don't really see how they're anything other than a 5.
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of like, I mean, if they make the playoffs, you don't really expect them to beat anybody. You just kind of know that they're in just because of the way the NFL is set up right now.
Yeah, and honestly, this is like, that's a good question. Is this Buccaneers worse than the Brady Buccaneers last year?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, just simply, if nothing else, for the fact that you have Baker instead of Tom Brady. I think that would change any roster.
I feel like they're kind of like, it's like bad, but it's like worse, if that kind of makes sense. Like that Buccaneers last year was not good. And then, like I said, they got killed by the Cowboys by that one. It wasn't even a close game in that game. So I think they're definitely going to get the 5 for right now.
Sold.
We're keeping them at the 5. Look at that. Buccaneers, if you would have gotten some Buccaneers stock, it is You would have gotten some good trades on that one. So
Yeah.
we got to talk about these Falcons. Man, what a garbage team right now of this division and the Falcons. I am not impressed. The Falcons are technically 10th, but I'm just like, you had this
So
division.
I guess here's my question though. Do we want to just make the Falcons, Saints, and Buccaneers all fives and just call it like a shitty division? Or do we want to put them lower because they don't have the tiebreakers?
I
That's all
honestly,
that this comes down to me. Because like if we just say straight up you're 10th in the standings, they're a 4. If we
yeah,
say, hey, you're tied for the division lead, you're a 5. I think it's just a coin flip.
I honestly feel like I should give them the 4 because
Yeah,
they're
that's where my heart is too.
yeah, because I don't think they're going to make the wild card. Like, I don't think anyone in this division is going to make the wild card, in my opinion. So, and I honestly think that we should just give the Falcons a 4. They're not that good. I mean, I still don't understand why, in my opinion. I mean, you have Desmond Ritter as your QB, but it's just like I just feel like that this team is not that good.
Yeah, I think
And
it's
you have
easy
like
to
who
do
missed
for 'em.
field goals. That was not really great. Like and he's the only one who's like bailing out this team. I'm just like, this is a 4. I think
Yep,
you're definitely gonna give them the mid is 4 right now. They're so
sounds
mid.
good.
Like this is not the best team. They're like, but who knows who's gonna win this playoff team? No,
It'll be a fun division.
now we gotta talk about a crazy game right there where the Colts got absolutely obliterated by the Bengals.
Yeah, you switch slides there.
Yes. So sorry, we got to talk. But anyway, sorry, I switched the slide because I wanted to show the winner team because the winners always have the slide first. How about that?
Oh, that's up to you. You can
Yes.
organize it however you want.
That's how I usually organize. I want to talk about the winners first, and then we go to the losers next. So the Bengals actually did good, and like I'm actually Jake Browning's actually been good. He didn't have a fluky game. Like, how do I feel about the Bengals? Like, they literally, I thought their season was done, and now they're improving.
Yeah, no, it's kind of cool to see. That's for sure.
Like, it's crazy to think about it. Like, I thought Joe Burrow's out. The season's done.
Hmm.
And now, granted, they're 10th, but honestly, I'd probably give the Bengals a better shot at making the playoffs than the Steelers,
Well, I
the
mean, they have the same record, so
the
I think
Colts.
that's. I mean, they kind of feel like a potential 5 to me right now. Like potentially finding themselves in that like football hell, maybe will sneak into the playoffs type of team.
Yeah, I feel like they're still going up. And like I said, they're still 10th, but there's like, here's the interesting part. So, like, so from the 6th seed to the 11th seed has the same exact record, 7-6.
Hmm.
All teams have the same exact record. It's Pittsburgh to Buffalo. This is why it's like a weird. This is why it's weird that the Steelers still somehow are in the playoff hunt versus the why Buffalo or Cincinnati is. So
Hmm.
I think I do agree with you. I'm going to give them the 5 because they're doing okay.
Heck yeah.
They're improving. I honestly do think the Bengals might have a shot at winning the playoff team, making the playoffs. And I feel like in the seed of 5s, I like to call it. Who would I put my money on for the 5s? I think honestly, I probably would give it to Cincy and maybe the Colts. I feel like
Okay.
in that 5s, I feel like that's going to make that playoff right now. If I had to put money, my life depended on it, I'm putting the Bengals.
Okay. All right. Well, let's jump over to the Colts.
Now the Colts, who are technically are still the 7th seed. This is why
Yeah.
this is why it's weird because it's like the standings is weird because like I said, like they've already lost the game to the Bengals. Not really good.
Hmm.
So where are we putting the Colties
Um.
right now?
Well, we could flip a coin for a 5 or a 6, because like they're such a borderline case to me. Um, because it's like in theory, they're in the playoffs, like you said. Do I think that they would, for some reason be better than the Bengals? Or not necessarily, like I don't know, but the Bengals just like they look more explosive, like they obviously just beat the Colts. So it's like, I mean, if I took those two teams again, I would take the Bengals once again.
Yeah, and I feel like, but I still feel like the Colts are still like, granted, I know Gardner Minshew like didn't play well this game. I still feel like they're still the 6 for right now. I don't feel like that they're like that 5 seed. Like I still feel like there's still some shakiness. Like Denver, I feel like there's some shakiness. Buffalo, I feel like there's some shakiness, and Houston, I feel like there's more shakiness. Versus the Colts, I feel like they're at least a little bit better than what I was expecting. And so, as of right now, I think they're still going to be for the 6 right now. So we shall see how it goes. Now we're done with these two. We got to talk about the Jaguars, which they somehow had Trevor Lawrence still play this game.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool to see.
Yes. Even though he had a high ankle sprain, I know it wasn't broken, so that's at least a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe, mother effing Flacco, who wasn't even starting this game, is balling out and probably having the best career right now. And is the best starter for the Browns QB in a while. Oh my God. In this season, if you told me this season that Joe Flacco.
The script writers have been doing a good job this year.
Honestly, I'm loving this NFL script writers. Oh my God. He was literally just eating chips, watching NFL Red Zone, and is now playing a game and won 2 games.
And not just winning, playing at a high level.
So I guess this is a good question. The Brownies are now, I honestly feel like they're like the solid of the wild card right now. They're the 5th right now. I think I'm going to give the Brownies a 7 because they beat the Jaguars and they would play against the Jaguars again, and I think they would still beat the Jaguars.
Okay. That's
even
good enough logic for me.
Yeah, even at Jaguar Stadium, I still think they're definitely a good 7 now.
The Browns defense is so good, like all they need is mediocre quarterback play. So
yeah, honestly. And it does suck because, like I said, they still gonna have to pay for Deshaun for all that contract right now.
So I guess my other thing. So what did we rank the Jaguars ship?
Where do we put the Jaguars? Oh, last week we gave them a 7.
I think based on your logic, you got to put them at a 6.
I think they're 6 right now. I don't think they're gonna win a playoff game. They're still.
You're saying that you think the Browns would beat them, then
yeah, I think
that's an easy one. Sorry, Jacksonville.
Sorry, Jacksonville.
Wah, wah, wah. 6 for you.
I love you, Trevor. I love Trevor Lawrence, but I just kind of feel like that, I still think they're probably going to be in the good playoffs. Now, this is a good question. How far? So Jacksonville is still 1 game behind the Colts and the Texans right now on the division. 1 game.
They're 1 game ahead of them.
They're 1 game ahead of them. So that's a little bit of a shaky one. And if I'm looking at the Jacksonville schedule right now, they got to play against the Ravens. So they got to play against one tough opponent, and then the Bucks. I think they can beat the Bucks, Panthers, and Titans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they should win their division still, but like a lot of their season will come down to playoff matchup again. But if right now you're projecting them to lose the Browns, nice 6. Yeet. We lost you, Stu. I can't hear you.
How about now?
There you are.
Look at that. We're disappointing our 12 fans here. Can you believe that? They're all like,
this is unacceptable.
This is unacceptable for my 12 fans. I'm going to rage anger. Watch this podcast for about an hour.
Yeah, man.
Talk about these hack frauds that don't know about sports. But speaking of hack frauds that somehow did well, the Jets won a game decisively.
That was fun. It was a good time.
It was like, how did Zach Wilson do well? This is confusing.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like they got some fun storylines going. Zach Wilson comes back, turns it around. Maybe he'll sneak them into playoff contention for when Rodgers comes back.
that's never. Oh my god. That's it. Oh my god. Don't do it. I would honestly. That's the craziest part because they're like 2 games behind, but there's no way they're not done.
I'm
They're
calling
in.
it now, Stu. I'm calling it now. A
You're
Jets,
calling it now. You're
Packers,
gonna give
Super Bowl.
the Jets are gonna make it to the Super Bowl.
Yep, and they're gonna beat the Packers. It's gonna be
Um,
great.
well, at least they finally had Zach Wilson play instead of Tim Boyle. My God.
Right? Like, I think that's part of the issue, though. It's like, if they just tried to build up his confidence, imagine how good they'd be. Instead, they're sitting there, like, taking him out, putting him in, telling him he stinks, telling him this. Like, let the dude play. He's like 23 years old.
I mean,
let him get some experience.
And it sucks because I know, like, early in the season, you had Broadway Joe from the Jets origin of the Super Bowl.
Namath, yeah.
Joe Namath. I always call him Broadway Joe. But, like, he was complaining about the Jets organization. That was terrible. And he wanted Zach Wilson benched. He wanted everyone to get fired.
Yeah.
And it probably sucks for this guy because I bet you, and I always talk about it, and it's even like my podcast talks about it, Strong Opinion Sports. I think they wanted to have Aaron Rodgers play for 2 to 3 years, like 1 or 2 more years. Let Zach Wilson get trained by a veteran, and then once he's ready, do the Patrick Mahomes strategy. But no, Roger gets hurt, and they get thrown into the dungeon, and you have the New York media that's just like eviscerating him on being this bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely unfortunate in today's league how fast these guys got to be ready. Like, there's no patience. Like, the only exception is if you do what the Packers did and what the Jets are trying to do, which is, draft a QB, have him sit for 2-3 years. But then even then, like, day one, they're expected to be productive. Like, so they're expected to go to, like, all the cool things. Like, they're expected to be, like, competitive for, like, all pros and stuff from day one.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like, in my opinion, the Jets, I think they're good at 3 because they won a game. They won against a good Houston team. So good for you.
Yeah, they won decisively too. So that was good. Good for them.
Oh wait, I gotta make sure this a grade A production value makes it a nice solid 3.
Thank you.
I'm ruining the 3 fans on this one. I'm sorry, the 8 fans that watched
the Texans.
They're technically out of the playoffs as of right now.
Well, I mean, that five just looked perfect for them. I mean, you just got blown out by the Jets. I think they lost 2 in a row now.
They lost 3 in the row. So no, 2. Actually, they only lost. They did beat the Broncos because they had that Russell Wilson tried to do a pass in the goal line and they got intercepted. And then they lost to the Jaguars and they lost to the Jets. I think they're still 5. Do I think this team can make the playoffs?
Maybe. It's kind of hard because, I mean, Stroud's been banged up. Like, Collins got hurt. They're just a little bit banged up. They're still young. The future's bright, but probably not their season.
I think that's, I feel like this is like the Lions, where I feel like that the expectations was very low last season. They did really bad. Then they kind of came back, but they're probably going to miss the playoffs. That's what I kind of feel like right now for the Texans.
Yeah, and then you're kind of excited about next year. Like, they might be pretty competitive next year.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting because, like, you still have, like, Trevor Lawrence and all that stuff. It's not like Rodgers left and it's like the division is yours for the taking. So.
Yeah. It'll be a fun division, though.
Yes. So, look at that. The Jets get the 3.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good division, actually. Yeah. Cool.
Now we got to talk about this great game right now. The Baltimore Ravens came back and went to overtime. This was the greatest game. This was my favorite game right now.
Yeah, that was a good game.
I honestly thought the Rams were going to win this game. And somehow the Ravens come and a punt return and get it.
Yeah, that was a crazy ending. I mean, I think for the Ravens, I think their ranking is pretty straightforward, so we don't need to get too into it. You won. You were an 8. You stay an 8. Do I think you're
honestly,
guaranteed a Super Bowl appearance? No. Like, you still got a lot of good teams out there. They're one of the better teams, but it doesn't seem like an 8 to me.
yeah, I feel like there's still an 8. I mean, compared to all the other ones that are in the 8, you won your game. You're not in shaky ground unlike the other teams when we get to the Dolphins and the Chiefs. Like
Exactly.
they're at least, granted they haven't been getting close games, but I feel like they're at least in a stronger position right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. But then we got to talk about these Rammies. Oh my God. You blew a game.
What a game.
It was a great game, but you blew it. You're 6-7 right now. Douglas, how are you feeling about the Rams?
I mean, I'm feeling more positive about them than I thought I would be. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like they're a team that if they somehow sneak into the playoffs, I don't want to play against them. They have a ton of playmakers on offense. That, like, their running back is awesome. Like, great receivers. Like, Stafford's won a Super Bowl. You still got Aaron Donald in there. But they're a team that I think they're still more in that football hell from all of the lost draft picks, and like they're just kind of getting old. So like they feel like a 5. They feel like a team that if they make the playoffs, they'll be hard to beat, but I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna make. But it's like so frustrating because I feel like, from my opinion, I want I would rather have the Rams in the playoffs than the Buccaneers or the Falcons or the Saints.
Yeah, me too.
Like I feel like it's so frustrating because I would rather have the Packers in the playoffs. I want the Rammies in the playoffs. I feel like those teams would be more fun in the playoffs. I don't want this Buccaneers to be in the playoffs, but it's frustrating because, like I said, the division is better. They're in like it stinks because, like I said, they're in the AFC West, and you have San Francisco that's balling out. So I think they're 5 for right now. We'll see if they'll make the playoffs, but we'll see how it goes on that one. So
Cool.
all right, all right. So like I said, we got the Carolina Panthers, but we're not going to discuss them because they are already out. So
See ya.
we don't have to discuss you. Deuces on the
Back to
Panthers.
last week if you want to hear about the Panthers.
Yes.
Oh,
But
oh, you lost your audio again, Stu.
how about now?
There you are.
Look at that. That is so. This
Um,
A quality show. We got to
hey
talk about.
man, we're here for the fans.
We're here.
I think my goal for us is to every week be a little bit better. And I think this PowerPoint is a step up from last week and just a slideshow or a Excel sheet that's hard to see. Here you get to see that Stu has been pretty spot on with the Saints.
I have been.
4,
I've
still
been.
4.
They're still a 4. I knew this division was going to be trash. Now, granted, they did beat a Panthers team that their season's done, and I'm just not impressed with it.
That's not impressive. Like, that's not an impressive win. You don't get to jump up for beating garbage teams.
Yeah, and especially garbage teams that their season's done in a garbage division.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I gotta say. Like, granted, congratulations, Saints, but you're still 4. Like, this is not. This is not like. This is not like, wow, I'm so impressed with the Saints. And granted, I feel like the Saints have been. I feel like the Saints had the problem, and I will always say this. My problem with the Saints is I feel like they did this. They did not learn for why the Rams won it, and I feel like every of the bad teams that they're thinking we just need a quarterback and we win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what the Broncos tried. That's what the Saints tried.
Like, I was not, and Derek Carr's not that elite QB. He's at least a decent up, but he's not that A level that's going to get you that Lombardi.
I have a small hot take here. I would rather see Jameis Winston play. Like, I prefer Jameis Winston over Derek Carr.
And they already paid him like a ton of money for this.
Don't understand it, but easy 4.
I was not even impressed when he was when he was with Vegas. Like, I was never impressed with Derek Carr.
Yeah, agreed. So
Yeah. So
they are 4. Easy peasy.
look at that. Easy peasy. This was an easy one where I get to complain about the Saints. Now we get to complain about the greatest game of all time.
Oh my
The
goodness.
Vikings versus the Raiders.
Yeah, that was something. Do you know what the worst part about this game for me is? How stupid it made me feel because I picked the over. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't think statistically you can miss an over by more than this unless I mean I guess there's a safety maybe. Like the only other outcome that could have been further away is if they scored 2 points instead of 3. Like unreal, terrible game to watch. So boring. I kept waiting for something to happen and nothing did. Unbelievable. Are you talking? I'm losing you again if you're talking.
How about now? Let's see this. I need to fix
Guess
my
who's back?
back.
Stuart's back.
Back. Can you believe it? It's not terrible. Anyway, so like I thinking there's like a crazy. It's been a long time we had a 3-0 game. Soccer games was a lot better. Hell, the Red Wings Blues game yesterday had more points than this Vikings Raiders game.
It had a touchdown worth of more points.
Then
It had 10 total goals.
yes, you had 10 more points. How does this happen? How?
I mean, Joshua Dobbs is getting benched. I think that's all we really need to say about this. Like, I feel like they're a 5. Like, I think it was a cute story for a little bit, but like, this is not a team that is gonna make a strong push. Like, they're just
Ooh.
not.
And this is the crazy part because the Packers are ahead of the Vikings right now.
I was gonna say like they feel like a 5 to me. Like, I don't feel scared of the Lions playing the Vikings. I don't really think the Vikings will make the playoffs. Like they're kind of in that football hell to me right now. It's like, do you resend Kirk Cousins? Who's your quarterback? What's Justin Jefferson gonna do? He's banged up. 5.
That's a good question, but hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I want to put Seattle in the 6. I feel like the Packers are definitely a 6.
No. Well,
I feel like that they're like a 6 by like default.
because
Because
are they in the playoffs right now?
they would be in the playoffs. They're the 6th seed right now. They would play against the Lions.
Oh man.
Like,
See, but
and
like I'm kind of applying the same logic that I was applying with the Steelers, where I'm just like, do I truly think that you will actually make the playoffs? And I hate to say it, but my answer is no. But like, fine, like they won. Like, give them the 6. I'm not gonna argue it any further. I don't care.
yeah, I feel
They
like it's one.
technically won, even if it was the ugliest game. Like, can't drop a team for losing or for winning.
Yeah, I think
So
they're like a 6, but I'm definitely like, it's not a good 6. It's like a 6-0. I feel like this is like the 6-0 of like, I don't even think they're that good.
yeah, that's easy peasy 6. You're
Now
right.
we got to talk about these ugly Raiders who are now 5-7. They're in the 13th seed right now.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like they're technically ahead of the Jets and the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
Uh
I think they're a 3 by default. It's like I feel like 5 wins is just too many to be all the way to 2. Because like technically they could very easily make a run and make the playoffs, you know?
well, there ain't
Well,
making
not
no.
very easily, but like they still have decent percentage odds of doing that.
I think they're still 3, but I
You
am
know?
not. There is no way that this Raiders team is going to make the playoff. Like I do not think that this is not like I
No,
would.
they're a bad team, no doubt.
They're a bad team, and I will say I'm gonna be excited for Urinating Tree when he's gonna put the greatest game, where he's gonna and the greatest game is the Vikings Raiders game, where everything was punt.
Well, Stu, maybe the show will get big enough and we can do a segment with urinating tree guy.
Oh my god, I can't wait. One of these days, I would love to do the tier maker, because he does like a tier maker with him and 5 points bids on the dumpster fire, and I would love to do just him talking about 1 through 10 on this. What do you think when we put these teams and all that stuff?
I mean,
Now, we got to talk about this.
I think this one's super easy still.
I think, honestly, okay, so we got our first, Douglas, the first team to clinch the playoffs right now. The 49ers are guaranteed, no matter what, to make the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
I think this team is the hottest team right now in the NFL. I do not.
Like, I mean, if I'm being just straight honest, I don't particularly see how they lose. Like, they're just so good on both sides of the ball.
Like, they look.
Like, they have, like, their defense is ridiculous. Like, Brock Purdy is looking like one of the better QBs in the league. Like, just amazing playmakers everywhere. Like, I don't really see a potential weakness with this team. Like, they just feel like a 9. Like, if they get that 1 seed, it's over. They're in the Super Bowl.
I think they're definitely in that Super Bowl. I'm very nervous about that as a Cowboys fan. I'm in the Niners. I'm like, they've blown out 2 really good teams, and I feel like this team is really good. I honestly feel like the 49ers should get a solid 9. This is like the only 9 team, I think, no question right now.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think they're a solid 9 too. Like, they're a team that, like, I feel like if you picked them versus the field, I would pick them hands down.
Yes, I feel like this is the best 9 team right now.
Yeah, cool. I hope we lost you again, Stu.
I don't know why my thing wants to auto like go back to default setting.
I don't know.
Because the
Some
state
bullshit, man.
It's some bull shizness.
Good word, good word.
But we got to talk about the Seahawks, who have now been utterly spiraling all the way down right now. They have now lost 1, 2, 3, 4th games in a row right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're spiraling.
Yep, they are.
This is a death spiral, and they still got to play against the Eagles next week. They are definitely. Where do we put the Seahawks right now? This is now another loss. It doesn't look good. This team is technically out of the playoffs. They are now the 9th seed right now. And honestly, I feel like this is a 9 seed team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm torn. Like, my heart's saying a 5 still. Because, like, I know what they can do. Like, they played against the Cowboys pretty well. I mean, they had to play the 49ers twice in 3 weeks. Like, that's just not fair. Like, that is super unfortunate. Like, I mean, I think in Seattle, like, I think they're a 5 until we see this game. Like, if they lose to the Eagles, a 4. If they beat the Eagles, then they're in that 5 to 6 range. But, like, I think that this is a winnable game. That if they lose, I'm full panic mode. But if they beat the Eagles, I'm like, okay, like, they're a solid team that I wouldn't want to see in the playoffs.
And I'll be honest, I'll be so happy if they do beat them. But
exactly, yeah.
But I think they're still the 5 for right now. I still feel like this is like a solid 5 team, and maybe they might make the playoffs. But I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it on the Seahawks. So we'll see how that goes right now. But then we got to talk about the craziest game, where the Bills won the game decisively close.
Oh, so definitely not decisively.
Not decisively.
Controversially, maybe.
Okay. We got to talk about. Okay, so we got to talk about first of all, we have to talk about the dumpster fire of this week's of the Buffalo Bills. If you know this, Douglas. First of all, you have Von Miller, allegedly, and an arrest warrant for beating up his pregnant girlfriend. I think it was wife or girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. First of all, that ain't good. We can agree upon that. We'll see how it goes, but that don't look good. That shit don't look good.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
We'll see. Look, that'll be a good question. Do you think he'll come back and play the NFL? We'll see, but that's not looking good.
Yeah. Enough of that off the field stuff. Let's talk about this football
team. We gotta talk about one more off the field stuff.
Oh, I don't.
Oh, we got to talk about the coach and the controversy. You know about the controversy, right?
I briefly saw. I didn't look super into it.
All right. So, where the coach of the Buffalo Bills basically said that we need this was like 4 years ago. And there was like an article about we need to be good like the 9/11 terrorist.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And it's just like, are you freaking kidding me? You know, the funny part is the end. They were like at the end of this article. It was like I didn't read it quote for word, but it was like right at the end. They were like, it's better. You know who was the best defense against the 9/11 terrorists? The TSA.
Huh.
Who
You really
literally
don't like,
after
the TSA, do you?
It's like, are you kidding me? Oh my god, a grown man made that comment. A 50-year-old grown man. That's not good.
It's not good.
It is not good. So anyway, we had to discuss it because, like I said, this is the off-field stuff. And somehow with all this dumpster fireness of the Buffalo, they won a game against the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's a good win.
It is a good win. So we got to talk about, how do you feel about the Chiefs?
I mean, this is what we expected Buffalo to be. When you think of Buffalo and Josh Allen, you think of them to win this kind of a game.
Yes.
Like I felt very excited for them to be able to go into Arrowhead. They're sitting there at 7-6. Like they're only one game behind the Chiefs. Like we've been talking all year about how great the Chiefs are. Then all of a sudden we have Buffalo that's sitting there. They're like, right. I mean, they're tied with the Steelers, with the Colts, with all these teams. So like they have a good chance still. Like if they make the playoffs, they could easily make the Super Bowl. Like they're a team that's good enough to make a run. I mean, if they beat the Cowboys this weekend, which that's a big time game. Oh my goodness.
I think that's a big time game. And so for
like
now,
if they beat the Cowboys this weekend though, like their last 3 games are all winnable.
yes.
I mean, I think they got to be a 5. Like
I feel like, in my opinion, I agree with you. I think they're a solid 5 right now.
I'm finally not feeling disappointed, and there's a sigh of relief.
And it's kind of crazy because they're in the 11th seed, but I feel like this is not an 11th seed team.
No, they're not. I mean, they don't have a lot of tiebreakers, but like they get some chance in some big games here coming up. It's kind of unfortunate for them that they lost that game to Denver.
Yeah.
That could be the reason that they end up missing the playoffs. Like, who knows? There's lots of football to be played. If I'm anybody in the AFC, I do not want the Bills to make it. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, but we got to talk about the craziness of the Kansas City Chiefs losing the game. An offside penalty by Kadarius Toney, who has cursed them not once against the Lions, and now cursed them again with that offsides with the offside penalty.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god! And I know Patrick Mahomes was complaining about the refs. And that was so infuriating because, like, that was obviously a penalty. It wasn't even close. It's not one of these like, oh, that was a BS call. This wasn't like the Browns or the Colts where I felt like that was a BS call. This was
I think Mahomes realized that after the fact and kind of like he definitely backtracked and he's like, "Ooh, I might have been wrong in this one because like that dude was offsides."
Yeah, like I feel like this is like my critique, and the urinating tree guy talked about it. I feel like this is like the Patriots when they lost the game and they like complain about the refs or blah 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 blah, and it's just like I don't feel bad for you guys because you already won like 2 Lombardis.
It's hard to feel bad for them, especially when it was a penalty. And like I think that they benefited in the Super Bowl last year from a bad call. So like take your 7, like you'd be playing the Steelers in the playoffs and you would beat the Steelers. Like just take your 7, like you'll win a playoff game. You might not win 2. You're definitely not guaranteed a spot in the AFC Championship.
No, I honestly feel like that this team would play. So who would the Chiefs be playing against?
Or just said the Steelers.
Oh yeah, they're going to beat the Steelers. No, there's no.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they would smack down on the Steelers pretty easily.
Yeah, that is not going to be a close game. Like, let's be honest on that. So we got to talk about another game where the Broncos had a decisive win. Finally, a decisive win. Is this the most the Broncos have ever won a game in like this season right now, Douglas? 24-7.
It's a nice win.
It's a nice, solid win. Granted, it's against the Chargers, who are not that good, but still.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think Herbert went down in this one too.
Yeah. So let's start with the Broncos. Where do we put the Broncos right now? Are they still as 5?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it sounds weird, I guess, because they beat the Bills, but like, I think there's so many teams that are so congested in there. Like, I don't think that they're going to necessarily make the playoffs. But let's look at their schedule.
So
Because
who did
they
the
still, let's see, where'd you go?
where is the
I
Bronco?
mean, they're second in their division. No, well, maybe
They
they
got
get
to
to
play against the
play.
Lions. That's a tough one, but I feel like that's going to be a tough one for the Lions also. The
Yeah,
Patriots,
but
that's
that's
going to be an easy win. Easy win against the Chargers. Yeah, they
yeah,
honestly, the destiny's in their own hands at this point.
yeah. I mean, they could definitely finish 10-7.
Yeah,
I mean, they
honestly,
could.
I think this is going to be. I
I mean,
think,
I feel like they're still in the 9 though. So I mean, I still feel like they're a 5.
yeah, I still feel like they're still that 5 seed. I think they're still in that football hell because I still feel like the Texans are a little bit better. I still feel like Buffalo's still a little bit better. I still think the Bengals are
Yeah,
still better.
I agree. So yeah, let's just give them a 5.
Yeah, so I think as of right now, we're gonna keep it right now to a nice solid 5 right now.
Sold.
Now we got to talk about the Chargers, and like I said, this is like if there's like one tweet from the Chargers, official Chargers, it's pain.
Mhm.
It's pain. No matter what. It's just pain. And the official Chargers post, someone just typed in pain on Twitter. And that's literally this season.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing but pain and mediocrity and misery. So what do you feel about these sad, sad Chargers? And don't forget, Justin Herbert's out for this season.
I'll say, I mean, it seems unbelievable, but they very well could be a 2.
Yeah. I
I mean,
honestly,
you lost your
this,
franchise QB for the year. I think I can't think of the last time they won a game. I mean, all they do is lose close games.
like the last time they lost the game was they beat the Patriots by 6 last week.
Yeah, like that's just not even an impressive one either. So it's like I think that this is just a team that probably is somehow a 2.
Yeah, they're technically in the 12, but I honestly I think I'm kind of contemplating. Like, it's kind of funny because there's like there's like Tennessee, there's the Jets, and the Raiders. The Chargers are the Chargers are ahead of all those teams, but I think this team's a 2. I
Yeah, I mean, I
honestly,
think too, just like based on the quarterback situation, I mean, they look bleak. Like I don't know. I'm fine with a 2 and moving on with it.
I think honestly, pain. They get a pain 2. How about that?
Yeah,
That's the
painful
thing.
too.
They get a
This
pain.
is. I'll play a big violin for them. Like they'll get a way bigger violin than the Patriots get. Like, sorry, Chargers, you guys are super unlucky. You should have won that playoff game last year. That probably was your best chance.
And also,
Wah wah wah.
and from your name tree, I always agree. F you, Spanos. You deserve all this pain.
F you, Spanos, no doubt. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yeah. I guess he's the owner of the awful Chargers and ruined them and made them to go to Vegas. So
All right,
anyway,
let's
we
get to
got
your game, man.
we got to talk about America's team, the greatest team of all time, Dallas Cowboys. Them Eagles by 20 points, 30-13. I watched this whole game. It was the glorious game of my life. Douglas, how do you
Do
feel
you know
about
how I think you might have felt, Stu? How I felt these last 3 years watching Michigan beat Ohio State. And I love that feeling. So I love that feeling for you and the Cowboys.
oh
I'm
my,
glad you guys get this lovely euphoria.
this is the greatest euphoria.
Congratulations I will say I think I've been wrong on the Cowboys. They're legit. I mean, there's still no 49ers. Like they're an 8. They've proven to me that they're an 8. I probably would take a NFC Championship of Cowboys versus 49ers. Unfortunately, I think it goes about the same as the first one. But that's not the point. The Cowboys, I think, if I had to pick my 2 NFC Championship teams, it's the 49ers, it's the Cowboys. Eagles and Lions are kind of a step behind them.
And it's, the crazy part is if the 49ers stumble, I think the Cowboys have a legit shot at making the Super Bowl. This is honestly, I'm trying to think, is this the best Cowboys team since 96?
I don't know. I don't pay that much attention, but
Ah,
this is the team that I will say has the best legitimate chance. Like they actually have, they're a good team. I mean, they're going to lose to the Lions, and that'll be funny, but they're an 8.
how dare you? We're not losing to the Lions. I'm just saying we're not
I'm
stumbling.
excited for that game. I mean, I think the Cowboys will win, but I think it'll be one of those games where it's a shootout. I think you're going to be surprised at how close it is.
Yeah.
I think the Lions will lose by like 6-7 points, but
yeah.
it's okay.
And it's so funny because I was like listening to like the earlier podcast. I just remember the earlier podcast, Strong Opinion Sports. And he put Dak as a mediocre quarterback, same as like Daniel Jones. I don't think Dak right now is a mediocre quarterback. I think he's in the MVP quarterback contention right now. I mean,
he's a top 5 quarterback this year, no doubt.
Yeah. And I remember when people like dogged me when I was like, Dak's not a top 5 quarterback. And I was like, I think honestly now, this is like a top 5 team. This is a top 5 quarterback.
Let me ask you this, and I want you to be non-biased, okay? I'm biased.
Yes.
If you're starting a franchise, do you take Dak, Jalen Hurts, or Brock Purdy?
This is like a ding, Mary, kill.
This one is a tough one. All right, let's do a similar situation to that. Let's do. You need them for one game. You build a franchise around them, or you cut them. So, like, who would you build a franchise around? Who would you pick to win a single game? And who would you pick to cut off your roster?
I think I'd probably take Brock number 1. I would probably put
build a franchise around Brock.
Yes, I think I'd put Dak for that clutch game. And then I would say I got to cut Hurts because Hurts has been kind of like stumbling right now.
Okay.
But
that's a hard one though. Like I really don't know which one. Because I mean, I think Dak. Yeah, I'd want Dak to win a game, but I don't know. Like I think, I don't know. I like your ranking. I'll stick with that. That's good.
Yeah, and honestly, we're going to talk about when we get to the. We got to think about Dak's contract's going to be up. Do you think they need to pay Dak a lot, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if this is a contract year for him, I mean, he's probably going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. Because, I mean, what do you do if you're the Cowboys? You sure as heck don't restart.
I'm not restarting.
You really don't have a choice.
I'm not going to get Trey Lance. I don't think Trey Lance is ready. I don't think, I'll be honest. I think you
go all in on Dak right now.
I think you got to go all in on Dak. Now we got to talk about the sad, sad Eagles. And I just got to say, from the great Scooter Magruder, he had a tweet, and he said, "Cry, Eagles, cry. Oh, boo-hoo. Cry, Eagles, cry." As a Cowboys fan, I'm going to scream that to the heavens I go. How do you feel about these Eagles after this ugly, bad loss? They did not look good, fumbling the ball a lot. I mean, I'm trying to think. I think there was like 3 turnovers in this game.
Yeah, it wasn't a very clean game, was it? How do I honestly feel? I think that if I had to say it right now, I think they're a team that'll probably win a playoff game. But at the end of the day, if they have to go to San Francisco or Dallas, they're not winning that game. So, like, I feel like that's how I feel. I think that they're a team that I don't legitimately think is going to be able to beat either of those teams.
Yeah.
So I think they're just a solid 7.
I think they're a solid 7. Like I said, they're going to have an easier schedule than the Cowboys is because their only tough opponent is the Seahawks right now.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, they still very well could sneak into the division title, as annoying as that probably is for the Cowboys. And it could flip again because I mean, if the Eagles are the home team, I might take them to beat the Cowboys. It might literally come down to home field advantage.
I think honestly,
I
probably.
Sorry, I am unbelievably excited for this Cowboys Bills game now. Like now that I feel like the Bills are back, and then the Cowboys are so hot, like that is going to be one of the games of the season. Like
And
that's
it's
going
gonna
to be
be
an unbelievable game.
and it's gonna be interesting because I kind of feel like of all the opponents that the Cowboys got to play against, this is gonna be interesting. So the Cowboys for right now have to play against the Bills, the Dolphins at home away,
Oh,
the Lions, and then the Commanders.
oh man, that's a brutal 3-game stretch.
And like I said, I think you only have and you kind of have to hope that the Eagles lose against the Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks, it is at Seattle, but
Yeah.
still,
I mean, there's a good chance. I mean, I think it's the type of game that the Eagles will win by like a touchdown.
yeah. But I
But
still feel like,
I mean, yeah, like you're heavily rooting for this loss though. Because I
yeah,
mean, what a buzzkill it'll be if the Bills beat the Cowboys and the Eagles win. All that
yeah,
momentum is just gone in one single game.
yeah. I think honestly, this is going to be the make or break for this one. I
But
think,
I will say too, if the Cowboys win this week, oh man, like I think that they have a real nice shot at that 1 seed. Well, not really, because you lost against the 49ers. 49ers probably won't lose again. Oh, we lost you, Stu.
is my microphone not working? Damn you.
Technology.
Oh, technology. This is why we don't like this one. But anyway, yeah, the Eagles are probably a 7. We'll see if they improve it, but I just kind of feel like, I feel like even if they do make it to that, they win the division, I still feel like they're like a 7, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
agreed.
Yeah. Now we got to talk about the crazy last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
How did the Packers lose to the Giants with a
Um,
backup QB?
yeah, that one, I'm kind of at a loss for words still. There's some games that make you question everything you thought you knew. This was one of those games where it didn't really make sense. Like it didn't feel like the Packers played particularly bad. Like I don't know. I'm just kind of at a loss for words. Like good for
This
the
is a trap
Giants.
game, and
As
they blew. Yeah, I will say. So, congratulations to the Giants. They actually won a game. It got
mhm.
close. They somehow still have a legit shot at making the playoffs now.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like I would probably have to give the Giants because they still have they're 2 games ahead. They win like 2
mhm.
games and everyone collapses. They're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
mean,
ridiculous because I don't think this team deserves to make the playoffs. This is
no, I
how.
mean, yeah, if they do, it'd be a shock. I mean, it'd be kind of entertaining, but like, what are you giving them, a 3 and moving on?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think they're like a 3. I mean, granted, they had a great QB right now. I mean, the QB looks good, but
Hmm.
let's see. I don't know if it's just the Packers just laid an egg, but we'll see how it goes. And now we got to talk about these Packers. We're
Hmm.
still the 7th seed.
Yeah.
They're on shaky ground right now. They made me question everything after
Yeah.
after those 2 weeks of winning, and
Well,
now
I mean, the thing that I will say about the Packers too that has me questioning them is not even about them, but it's watching the Chiefs and the Lions lose this week. Like I was big time on those 2 wins because those are big wins. But then you go into a bad Giants team and lose. The Chiefs and the Lions lose. Like your last 2 wins don't look as good. I'm like, maybe you're a 6, but like you feel like a 5. I don't know. I don't know
I'm
still.
not I'm not impressed with how the Packers have been. I still feel like they're the 6 right now. I'm gonna keep them at the 6,
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
they're in shaky ground. Like, to be honest with you, and like I said, both the Lions and the Chiefs lost. I'm just not impressed with how the Packers have been doing right now. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And now we got to talk about the other craziest game, where the
This one
Titans.
I think was even crazier to me.
Yes, like I literally was just like, the crazy part, Douglas, is they had a 14-point lead. The
Hmm.
Florida had a 14-point. Then Miami Dolphins had a 14-point lead. In the
Mhm.
percentage odds, let me check, at about 4 minutes. At 5 minutes and 34 seconds, they had a 4 minutes and 34 seconds, 99.3% odds of winning the game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And they blew it. This is
They
the
absolutely blew
worst.
it.
Oh my God.
So let's say, are we going to the Dolphins first or the Titans?
We got to start with the Titans. Because like I said, you know what, Titans, you had a good decisive win. I think I got to give them 3. You beat a good Dolphins team. You
I
came
think
back.
the 3's good. I liked the coaching. I loved that call to go for 2 in the fourth quarter, because like you didn't have much to lose. So like you're not playing for overtime. Like you kind of want to spoil their season, have the momentum. I thought that they played well. Will Levis is fun. He's making DeAndre Hopkins look like his former like all pro self. Good job, Titans. Proud of you for winning this one.
Look at that. Congratulations, Titans. You're now mediocre instead of what I was.
You're still probably not making the playoffs, but like you got some fun pieces. Like, yeah.
Yes. Now we got to talk about what has changed my momentum right now.
Mm-hmm.
My God, we thought the Dolphins were going to be good because they won the division, because they were the number 1 seed, and now literally you have changed everything. You had a 99.3% odds of winning a game. You had a 14-point lead.
Can I give a quick shout out first, though?
Yes.
The first touchdown of the game. Did you see the first touchdown?
No, what was the first touchdown?
It was a pick 6 by my former high school teammate, Zach Sealer.
Good job. Good job. From Bellevue.
TV
from
pick
Pinckney.
6.
Can you believe it? From Pinckney, Michigan. Pick 6.
Michigan. First touchdown of the game. He was outscoring the Miami offense there for a while. Like,
yeah.
Just amazing. Fun to see. Good for him. He put in the work, got huge. Now he's making bank and maybe has a shot at the Super Bowl with the Dolphins. That'd be crazy.
But this game.
Yeah, this game was a buzzkill though. Like you said, they had potential control of the 1 seed. You're feeling hopeful. I will say on like a small out for them, Tyreek Hill is banged up. So like that's still like I still think when they're fully healthy, they feel like that 8 still. But it was also really concerning to me to see how out of sync their offense was without Tyreek Hill. Like they are relying on Tyreek Hill.
Like I will tell you this: who had the biggest leg of egg this week in football? Is it the Dolphins or the Steelers?
Well, I would say the Dolphins. Like you had that game. Like the Steelers were like sus about. Like the Dolphins were sitting there as a possible 1 seed. Like this is one of the teams that we thought would be the best in the league. I'm pretty sure the game was in Miami too.
Yes, so that's even worse.
They like lost in Tennessee. Like they lost a really weird game, 99% chance. No. The Dolphins. My heart still wants to leave them at an 8, but like I could see a 7 as well.
I think I got to give them the 7 just because you lost to a bad Tennessee team. You made this Tennessee team look good. I think there should be retribution punishment. This isn't like Dallas. Granted, Dallas did lose to a bad Cardinals team, but that was early in the season. I don't think they would lose to that Cardinals team. This season, right now, Dolphins are in shaky ground right now, and you're heading into the end of the stretch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not the look you want in the final stretch. So 7 sounds good.
So we have just officially got done with tier maker for week 14, everybody. How does that make you feel, Douglas? Now we got to talk about before we go, we got to talk about what is your thoughts and who do you think, if you had to do it for week 15, on who would you put some tiers on?
Well, I'm just going to pick one of each because I want to keep this quick. I think I would put some stock in the Bills. I think they're going to beat the Cowboys.
I hate that.
I don't like it either. But I mean, if you beat the Cowboys as the Bills, all of a sudden you're back to 8-6. Life is looking really good because you got a nice schedule down the way. Watch out for the Bills. Because I mean, if they win that game, they're just going to keep jumping. I think I want to sell. Oh man, there's a few I'd want to sell. There's a lot of those teams hovering around those like 4, 5, 6 spots. Like I think I would probably sell the Buccaneers.
Oh, you would, yeah, the Buccaneers would be a good one. I feel like this one, because it's so much influx and just like, I don't know who's going to be in, who's going to be out. This is like a terrible stock if you want to pick one. I would say, and this is my opinion, I would put some stock on the Bengals because they're playing against the Vikings. And I think if they get another good win and then everyone else kind of like falters or like collapses or like falls, or if the Broncos lose also, this helps the Bengals.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and even if the Cowboys, let's just say theoretically the Cowboys beat the Bills, this is definitely going to help the Bengals right now. So even though they're in that weird 11 seed, I would honestly probably give it to the Bengals. And if I want to sell, who would I want to sell right now? Honestly, it probably would be the Buccaneers or the Saints. Those are probably the two teams I would probably like sell as of right now. I just do not feel confident on those two teams right now.
Respect it.
And so, like I said, look at this long. We have just done a long hour of talking right now. 1 hour. You wanted to quick? Fortunately, we did 1 hour and 36 1 minute.
Yeah, it wasn't our fastest, but hey, teams are about to get eliminated. It'll only get faster.
Hey, the sad part is teams are getting eliminated right now and we're getting longer. Go figure.
Yeah. Well, some weeks do. See you after week 15.
All right, we'll see how it goes. So we're going to end it. And I'll catch you later next time.
Peace out.